Gotcha.
WBUZ HD4 Laverne. WPRT HD4 Pegram. Live from the Eurostone Studios.
93.3 Totally Hits, Totally Nashville.
Totally. Woody and Jim.
We are your new home for Woody and Jim.
Oh my God! Yes!
93.3 FM. Totally Hits. Totally Nashville.
Good whenever you are.
Welcome into the Boulevard tonight as we bring you Derek Mason live. Glad to have you with us. We're at the corner of Middle Tennessee Boulevard and East Main, which was a busy location over the weekend during homecoming activities. Chip Walters here along with the head coach and Derek Mason with us here this evening as the September grind continues. This football team started back July 1st or actually August 1st with regular workouts, and now here we are getting ready to play your fifth game in 5 weeks before you have a chance to really take a breath. It's a marathon, but it seems like you're trying to sprint through this marathon some days.
Yeah, it does feel that way. It's been an interesting, first quarter or first third of the season, just in terms of where we're at. What it's looked like for us, some setbacks, some setups, but plenty of opportunity for this football team to make sure that it can grow, progress, and put itself in position, as we get ready to, in a couple of weeks, get right back in the Conference USA football play.
That's right, and this week it'll be the final non-conference game of the year, and that will be against the Memphis Tigers on Saturday at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium, the artist formerly known as the Liberty Bowl.
Right.
And that will be at 6:30 on Saturday. And it's a long-standing series that goes back to 1925 that we'll be talking about in just a little bit. This past weekend, the Duke Blue Devils were in town for the second matchup between Middle and Duke. Both of those have been here, and Duke got the win 45-17. And, Coach, it was a game where you look back on and five plays you look at that made a huge difference in this football game.
Right. And generally, turnovers can really determine ball games. That's really what you look at. That's one of the big stats in football. We look at, turnovers, red zone, third down, and turnovers by far sort of led the way in this ball game in terms of where it went, how it went early, and it's one of those lessons for this football team, as we had a chance to talk about it on Sunday, that you have to learn. Okay, taking care of the ball, sudden change, and how you respond to sudden change, whether it happens to you, okay, or
happens for you,
or for you, man. You got to be able to capitalize, right? And so, with that being said, again, growth. We're disappointed in the outcome, man, but not derailed in terms of where we see this team needing to go, what we have to do, and how we have to play. Got better in some areas, and that's what we needed with some progress. But again, we don't play the game for moral victories, man. We play to win. And so with that, you look at those 5 turnovers, 28 points off of that. Man, that's the difference in a ball game. I mean, you're looking at possibly a 17 ball game and trying to kick a field goal to tie versus, what we saw. But again, you sort of get what you earn.
Yeah, that's right. And if you put the ball on the ground and they take advantage of it, that's kind of the, it's an oblong ball. It's not round, and it'll take a bounce. But it was the unfortunate. There's the fact of what happened, and then there's the tough luck of what happened in it. And
right.
and there were 3 in the first quarter and how they happened and where they happened. You ended up with 4 inside your own 25, and then you had the roughing the punter call when you had them backed up at their own 16-yard line.
That's right.
And that's where you're going to get the ball back in about midfield, you would think. And that was a situation where they end up scoring more points. So, again, 35 of their 45 came off of those turnovers and a critical penalty. And you didn't have many penalties,
right?
But that one was critical.
It was critical. And, again, momentum changers, right? The roughing the punter, that's a momentum killer.
Ooh.
I mean, it not only, we would have changed field position, but would have been in scoring position, if it hadn't have been for that call. And for us, again, we're making different decisions at different times, man, which have been costly. Whether we're talking about in the kicking game, whether we're talking about just in special teams, we just have to continue to sort of grow this football team up, because there's a lot of guys who are out there, making some of these decisions for the Blue Raiders for the first time. And we go through scenarios, we look at situational football, but in-game situations and how we respond, that has to be better. And so the focus for us is really about to get better right now, and the guys are responding. I tell you what, I told our guys, you can, your identity is not in your last performance. Your identity is in the work that you do, and it leads, okay, to your process and how you prepare. Okay, the past doesn't define you. Okay, what you do with the opportunities that you get to lead you into this week, okay, will give you an opportunity to change the narrative. So this group has sort of responded and bounced back, to those things. But the reality of it is, if we play good football and the ball that we're capable of, this group's going to have a chance to race some people. But right now, okay, man, we got to fight our way through it to get to it.
Yeah, and the hard part is sometimes you have to fight yourself to get through, and once you can kind of get past that, go through some of those growing pains, and then where you only have one opponent out there, and
that's right,
and that's the opposing team.
Right. Well, I mean that's what we talked about in going into the game with Duke. Duke's a football team that's not going to beat itself. They didn't.
Well, they do not make mistakes.
They don't make mistakes, right? The quarterback tried to give us a couple. I mean, we dropped an interception. We actually made an interception. We actually got the ball out. The ball was on the ground. We didn't recover it. They gave us some opportunities, but their guys were hustling to the ball. Look, sometimes, luck favors the ones who are grinding the hardest. And I thought in that game, Duke made a lot of good decisions. They didn't beat themselves. We beat us with turnovers and decision making, and we got to shrink that. We got to minimize, what that is in order for the performance piece to actually rise, so that we can play the type of ball that we're capable of.
Before we take our first break, I want to talk about one real positive, and that is we've talked about getting out to a good start.
Yeah.
You absolutely did that on the third play of the game when our guest tonight, Jaden Flip Cradle, he will be with us coming up at the bottom of the hour, but he busts one for 66.
Yeah, Flip works hard every day. A lot of people, know about Frank. I think, Flip, Terry, as I look at that group, I mean, because it's a deep running back room, right? I think Flip has sort of been underestimated in terms of, what he brings to the table. He's just been waiting for his opportunity to go. He shows up every day at practices, and he works hard. He's got great hands. He's got great contact balance. He's one of our best guys in pass pro. I think he's a three-dimensional back, but what he showed on Saturday was that he can go to the distance. And when you look at how he toted the mail, 10.2, 10.4, whatever it was, that's good for any back, anytime, any place. And he did it versus an ACC defense that wasn't giving up a ton of yards rushing.
That's right, and gave the Raiders an early lead at 7-0. We're going to take our first break of the night. Remind you, tonight's show is brought to you in part by Raiders Rising Collective. It's the official NIL collective for MTSU Athletics. Raiders Rising provides student athletes from all 17 varsity sports at MTSU opportunities to earn income based on their name, image, and likeness. Follow Raiders Rising on X and RaidersRising.com for more information on upcoming events, how to donate, and to become a member, and much more. Time out here from the Boulevard. We'll step aside and be back with more Derek Mason Live after this on the Blue Raider Network from Van Wagner.
When it comes to money, I'm a saver.
Me too.
Chip, sorry you didn't hear that opening. I figured out what went wrong. I just got off the phone with Chase.
With our interest-earning checking, you can
Earn interest
Yep.
so I can save money.
We should be good from here on out, though.
Sure. And with our rewards checking, you can.
Oh, get cash back for my purchases? Tap reward?
Yep. So no matter how you handle your money, Ascend Federal Credit Union has the right checking account for you. Interest-earning checking earns 3.56% annual percentage yield up to $15,000. Some restrictions apply.
Not feeling well and need to see a doctor? Find the care you need now at Ascension St. Thomas. We're here with 24/7 ER care, same-day care, and walk-in urgent care for broken bones, sprains, allergies, sore throats, and more. Visit ascension.org/St. Thomas Care to get the right care at the right place at the right time. Serving Middle Tennessee State University, Murfreesboro, and surrounding communities.
How do you create a tradition of leadership? You power it with impressive towing and hauling, sharpen it with smart features like a mobile generator, and dominate the game 47 years straight. That's Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks, a legacy of excellence, only at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Available features. See Owner's Manual for important operating instructions based on 1977 to 2023 total sales.
Roscoe
Last break, stand by.
supporter of MTSU Athletics and your locally owned HVAC and plumbing company for over 80 years. Roscoe Brown has been the trusted name for heating, cooling, and plumbing for Middle Tennessee homeowners and businesses. Call 888-MY-ROSCOE to schedule your HVAC or plumbing service today. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Roscoe Brown. People you know, a name you trust. Go Blue Raiders.
Roscoe Brown. RoscoeBrown.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All clear.
Welcome back into the Boulevard tonight, and Derek Mason Live brought to you in part by the Lee Company. Raider fans, get ahead of the game with the best home services team in town for your heating, air conditioning, plumbing, electrical, and home improvement needs. Lee Company is the team to call, 615-867-1000 or online at leecompany.com. Coach, you after the craziness of the first quarter and working your way through it and talking to your guys at halftime, the game kind of settled in after that for the remainder. And, you know, you don't always want to have to play catch-up, but I thought your guys played with a lot more you cut down on mistakes. You guys kept the football, used a lot of clock, and in those cases, sometimes that'll come back to where you'll be able to use that to your advantage later.
Yeah, we settled down. Obviously, we were able to do some things to them defensively. I thought we confused the quarterback. He looked off at times, especially on third down. I thought we gave him pictures that looked different, and I think that's sort of where this football team has to go. I thought they tackled better in this ball game. They guarded better, and again, we're playing different guys, but guys, since we didn't roll guys in this game, guys were able to see the same things. Yeah. Okay, like some of the same formations, some of the same looks, and we played better. Now, here's what we have to be able to do: offense, defense, to special teams. We have to play complementary football. Mm-hmm. You know, this is where the game, you know, really has to grow for us. This team's got to make sure that, you know, we can start fast. We can sustain it with a defensive stop. Okay, we can get out in special teams and flip the field. You know, like just watching our team play, settle down football, it looks solid. It looks the way it's supposed to look. Now, can we kick it into the next gear, which gives us a chance to start fast, play good in the middle, and let's see exactly what this team can do, you know, as we finish. But I thought this team played solid, like in the second half. We just need to make sure that we can put the ball in the end zone.
you talk a lot and have talked a lot from preseason about those middle 8, and Duke won the middle 8 this week, and it's one of those things. If you can get the game in a position, again, possession-wise, everything else, because when it becomes that chess match, and you can get yourself in a position where you can do, and I call it 2 for 1.
Yes.
Where you can score late.
Yep.
And get the ball to start the second half, get a good drive to set the tone. It's hard to put my hands around just how important that can be.
Well, what you're talking
Am
about
I right
is
or wrong?
Yeah, you're 100% correct. You're talking about momentum.
Right.
Okay, you're talking
Exactly.
about how do you change the momentum? How do you flip the intensity of the game to where you see the score differential, you're able to dip into it, and then you're able to, take advantage of it by coming out fast, playing strong, and then all of a sudden that thing builds. Mm-hmm. It gives you an opportunity to not play uphill, but to get a chance to roll that thing from the top down. And I think once you create momentum for yourself, especially how the middle 8 plays out to lead to the fourth quarter, it gives you a chance to play well deep in the ball games. And we haven't had the chance to experience that yet, but I'm looking forward to when this group can.
Well, in a couple of old sayings, you want to be able to play ahead of the chains and play downhill.
That's right.
And that's, when you can do that, you've got things going in your favor. Injuries have been a key and have been a theme that we have had to deal with. And you actually had one that occurred coming out of the building, trying to warm up with Marcus Miller.
Right.
And, since the beginning of the year, when you lost 2 offensive line starters, you've been trying to go into a week where you didn't have to restart and retrain everybody from chapter 1. You could come back and start at chapter 6 or whatever it might be.
Right.
And you used another great movie analogy today. You were to the point where it wasn't 51st dates anymore.
Right. You work so hard to try to create some consistency up front, but then you're hit with an injury, in pregame, that really shuffles more than one guy, shuffles 3 guys, right? Because now, you have to move a guy out to tackle from center to, and then push in a new guy at guard who probably hasn't taken as many reps. But here's the thing, right? Everybody's dealing with something. I know right now, the greater part of what's happening with this group is that this group is getting a chance to get invested reps. Okay, at these positions, we're having to play some younger guys, but young guys have to become old guys pretty fast. So I'm glad that we're playing it against good competition, because what happens against good competition, now, you're able to teach, you're able to get that group to progress a little bit. And like I said, a couple of weeks, we're right back in the conference play. And so the lineup, hopefully, with the experiences of a Clayton or, a Jayden, or what's happening with the Mula, these guys are going to have to play down the stretch. Mm-hmm. So the invested reps that they're getting now are going to pay dividends as this group gets ready to make a stretch run. So for me, it is about the confidence of our quarterback. We got to keep our quarterback upright, and you can't let him get hit. And so getting back to the X's and O's, we were able to talk about what that needs to look like. And I think there's a plan in place, for our quarterback that I think is going to give him a chance like this week to sort of go at some things. But you got to look at how do you keep this guy upright? Because when you do, he's accurate. Okay, man, he's decisive. He can put it where it needs to be.
You're exactly right. And he was under duress a good part of the day on Saturday. Duke wins it, and Middle Tennessee now getting ready to take on the Memphis Tigers. We'll take a break. We're live at the Boulevard tonight, and it is Derek Mason live from Van Wagner on the Blue Raider Network.
Middle Tennessee State University athletes, providing expert treatment of injuries to bones, joints, or muscles. TOA's team of orthopedic specialists can get you back in the game. Same-day appointments and walk-ins are welcome. Injured? Visit one of our many ortho urgent cares, or to make an appointment, call 1-855-NEED-TOA or visit www.toa.com. TOA, the official team doctor for Blue Raider Athletics.
The MTSU Alumni Association is proud of its more than 130,000 living alumni who are leading, teaching, entertaining, researching, flying, farming, nursing, and more worldwide. Every Blue Raider accomplishment adds value to your degree. Are you connected to the MTSU National Alumni Association? Visit mtalumni.com to share what you're doing. Update your information and see how you can be involved and informed. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
When the arena lights dim for a concert, or when the crowd becomes one at a big game, you can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, a division of the Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Plan ahead and plan.
Last break, stand by.
On your team for all your facility and home maintenance needs. They are proud to be an official partner of the MTSU Blue Raiders and have serviced homes and businesses for 80 years. For the very best heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical services, call Lee Company at 615-867-1000. Visit them at leecompany.com or call 615-867-1000.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome back into the Boulevard tonight. It is Derek Mason live with nearly 200 majors and concentrations for undergrads and more than 100 graduate programs. Middle Tennessee State University has something for everyone, including more than 50 online degrees. Do you want high-quality, affordable education? Not too late to apply. Learn more at mtsu.edu/how to apply. And busy weekend around campus involving homecoming. Of course, the football game with Duke kind of wound things up. We had a lot of activities. Golden Raider induction on Friday, alumni awards Friday afternoon, the Blue Raider Hall of Fame induction on Friday night that brought in 5 new inductees to the Hall of Fame: Jeff Beecham from baseball, Jamari Lattimore and Marvin Collier from Blue Raider football, Ebony Rowe from women's basketball, and Kermit Davis. So with all the special things going on here, there's one other activity I'm not sure that you knew went on, Derek, and that is there was a wedding in the parking lot at Greenland Drive.
Really?
On Saturday. Yes, and Milbury Campbell, who's sitting right back there, she officiated the wedding because she is a notary public. She brought 2 fine folks together, and they did it under the big Blue Raider umbrella. How about that?
Now, that's pretty cool. Let's clap that up. Okay.
There's photographic evidence, and there are witnesses here who saw all of that. So
wow.
that was something.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and I know
Cool
you came by and to the Hall of Fame on Friday night and had a chance to see Jamari Lattimore, and there was a ton of Coach Donnelly's players who were there, and although Coach couldn't be there, I want to wish him all the best. But there were a lot of guys there, and I know they appreciated you being there.
Well, I tell you what, it was impressive seeing Collier's highlights. You know,
He could go now.
Watching what type of player he was. You talk about, impressive, but I think.
And he looks like a librarian.
You know what? The really interesting thing was, the cool thing was to see him acknowledge his coaches and his teammates. I thought that was really cool. I mean, like for him, he acknowledged his family being one of 11. And actually being the youngest. And did you see how many siblings?
Oh, they were, and he knew all the names and in order.
Yeah, like in order. And he was known as the brother of.
Yeah, that's right.
As he talked about, and then just to see Jamari. I mean, what an incredible talent here, and had a
20 and a half sacks in 3 years.
20 and a half sacks in 3 years. I mean, that's almost unbelievable. And then, his run in the NFL, being able to win a Super Bowl, obviously he's one of the greats in MTSU history. So it was just fantastic to be in the company of such, honored guests and and MTSU Blue Raiders through and through. And I tell you what, the people that showed up and showed out for that deal, I mean, it was packed. It was standing room only. So, kudos for Blue Raiders, because Blue Raiders show up for Blue Raiders.
Yep, and that was a fun night. And then, of course, on Saturday morning, had one of the biggest, if not the biggest, homecoming parade ever with a huge crowd. And my buddy Chris Childers, who's a Blue Raider grad from Sirius XM, was here and helped me with parade commentary. So we just had a big time all day.
Well, that's what's been fantastic to see. Blue Raider Nation has just come out. I mean, even in the adverse weather, all these things happening, you just continue to see Blue Raiders supporting Blue Raiders, and that's I mean, terrific. That's really what it is. I mean, this place is a connected community of folks, man, that care about them. They care about where they went to school. They care about who they root for. They care about their community, and that's for me in this football team right now. We understand that that's part of our responsibility too. So we're wearing that, and we know that Big Blue is watching.
Yep. We've got a bunch of questions tonight, and we're going to get into a couple of them here.
Yep.
One is, how did you handle the rain, the weather delay because of when it happened? What's the Cliff Notes version of what you guys did?
Well, you know what? I think I'm going to write a book. I think I'm going to write a book postseason about, how can you start your first 3 home games with rain, okay? And what that looks like, in terms of delays. I think I've become a foremost expert in it, and to me, maybe I'll get invited on The View post my coaching career to talk about what that looks like and how that sort of moves into it. But no, it's been interesting to say the least to walk our team through it. And
was it any different because it happened in the middle of the third quarter as opposed to pregame?
It's been all the same. It's just time, right? And so I think a better question, a better person to answer that is probably Flip, right? Because, coaches.
It's on my list, Flip. Be ready.
Coaches do what coaches do. Players, they go straight to the phones and they're looking at the scores. They're going, hey, man, what's the best TikTok? They got a lot of time on their hands. So, what we say is relax. What they do is exactly what young people do, which is grab the phone.
Here's one good one. How are the plays being called and relayed with the headsets, and how is the new coach-to-player communication system going?
Yeah, the new coach-to-player communication, it's really good for offenses. I've always believed that player-to-coach communication was going to happen, but it benefits the offense. Let's get that straight, because talking to one defensive guy and trying to get that communicated to everybody is not as easy. And you know what? You still have to signal in terms of what it looks like. So it's been good. It's been somewhat flawless in terms of the ability. You just don't see as many, delay of games anymore. I mean, be honest, you've been watching football for a long time. I mean, when you look, do you see delay a game much anymore?
No, you don't.
Yeah.
I mean, and the opportunity could have been there because the play clocks were out in the first half. So that's really the only time when that becomes more of a fear.
Right.
Another one from Kate wanted to know, who has surprised you this year by stepping up and being a leader on the team?
There's so many guys that we have on our leadership council, but it's guys, to me, that show up every day and just work. Flip's not on the leadership council, but he shows up every day, and it's not what he says, it's what he does. And that, I think him getting here tonight has everything to do with the work that he's invested in, the time that he's been here. But I can go through and I can look at Mateo, and I can go through and say, Miles has been fantastic in terms of the room. And it's not always guys showing up in the stat sheet. It's not about the stats. It's about, how they work and how they hold guys accountable, for some of the things that we're being asked to do. Nobody will ever talk about, how the locker room's got to get cleaned up. But if you ask Flip will tell you exactly, some of the cultural things that sort of have to happen. And sometimes when you're changing and there's change of the guard, it's not just in the ball. It's in the accountability piece of what's got to be done, and when it's got to be done. And so I like, C.J. Johnson. I mean, he's a captain. But, I mean, who that guy is every day is really on display in terms of how he tries to hold his teammates accountable. So, to me, it hasn't been one guy. And, Nick is an obvious guy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's spokesman sometimes for the team, or most of the time for the team. He's got a lot to say, and that leads us in the right direction. But to me, I think it's been like by committee. And when this season is done, I think what people are going to see is that the leaders have sort of risen, not by their rank, but really by what they've done.
All right. And great answer, great question right there. We're going to take a timeout. We're at about halftime. That means we're going to have our halftime guest coming up. That's going to be Jaden Cradle, Blue Raider running back. You know him as Flip, and that's right after this timeout. From Van Wagner, you're listening to the Blue Raider Network.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Pay the order of hope. Promise. Tomorrow. For years, the Tennessee Lottery has written some pretty big checks, but it turns out that our biggest winner continues to be education. In fact, we've raised more than $7.5 billion and provided more than 2 million scholarships and grants for Tennessee students. Learn more about how lottery dollars are making a difference at tnlottery.com. It's game-changing, life-changing fun.
When it comes to money, I'm a saver.
Me too. Though I can also be a bit of a spender.
Well, Ascend has got you both covered. With our interest-earning checking, you can
Earn interest so I can save money for my beach trip?
Sure. And with our rewards checking, you can
get cash back for my purchases? Tap reward?
Yep. So no matter how you handle your money, Ascend Federal Credit Union has the right checking account for you. Interest-earning checking earns 3.56% annual percentage yield up to $15,000. Some restrictions apply.
Not feeling well?
Last break, stand by.
Find the care you need now at Ascension St. Thomas. We're here with 24/7 ER care, same-day care, and walk-in urgent care for broken bones, sprains, allergies, sore throats, and more. Visit ascension.org/St. Thomas Care to get the right care at the right place at the right time. Serving Middle Tennessee State University, Murfreesboro, and surrounding communities.
Five, 4, 3.
Welcome back into the Boulevard on this Monday night. A reminder, no show next Monday, but 2 weeks from tonight we'll be back. The Blue Raiders have a mini bye coming up after this week, and we'll get into the midweek games of Conference USA after the Blue Raiders travel to Memphis. Time now for our special guest tonight, and please welcome the pride of Columbus, Georgia, Jaden Cradle. And I never call you Jaden on the radio. I call you Flip all the time. And first question out of the gate, now that we are part of the Chip and Flip show here, how did you get your nickname Flip? I know how I got Chip. How did you get Flip?
I would say my mama gave it to me around when I was like 3 years old, 4 years old. I used to have a lot of energy when I was young, so
you had a lot of energy?
Yeah, I would be like running around the house, jumping on the couch. I end up jumping on the couch, flipping out the couch, doing front flips out the couch, back flips out the couch. Any flip you could think of, I was doing it. So that's how I got the name Flip.
Well, and you know, when nicknames come along like that, being one who's had one for quite some time, my dad gave me mine, and because I was a chip off the old block, apparently, when I was born. But But those that come natural, those are the ones that stick. You can't make one up sometimes for somebody and force it on them. But the good ones stick for a long time. And how old were you? About 4 or 5 years old?
4 or 5 years old.
Okay, all right. And talk about growing up in Columbus and going to Carver High School and playing high school football in Georgia.
Growing up in Georgia, it was a big challenge on me, knowing like the areas around there, how bad they get. Like you just had to stay focused as a young man. You had to stay focused. Going to Carver, it was my choice because I say like there were a lot of good athletes that came out of Carver, and I used to go to Carver games. So I ended up going to Carver, playing with my older brother. I got an older brother there at Georgia State. I ended up playing with him, so I just ended up taking his like footsteps, following behind him, and just being one of the most best athletes that came out of Columbus, Georgia. So.
Well, I'd say you were pretty good at Carver. Your senior year, 2,162 yards. That's averaging 154.4 yards per game. Flip, that is delivering the mail.
Alexander offset to the left. Hand off up the middle, looking for room, bouncing around to the outside.
Growing up in my area, you think about all these great running backs that came out of Georgia and Alabama, and I can't help but think about Herschel Walker when I remember seeing him play in high school and college. But who was it one of your goals to
first and
to
10
be
for middle
a
after
great
the face
running
mask
back?
penalty against Tech.
Yes, sir.
Battiato throwing on first down, checking
I wasn't
down.
Playing football.
Really? When did you
slipping
start?
out a couple of tackles and diving for the first down
grade,
is Jaden
around
Cradle.
that time, I was a soccer guy.
Really?
Yeah, I was a soccer guy. I wasn't even playing football, so.
So you could be the emergency backup, double emergency kicker if we need one. I like the confidence, absolutely. So what? You were a soccer guy. How did they finally get you to come out for football?
My older brothers, they were playing football, so.
Western showing blitz on
and
second
Mom
down
only
and
wanted to come
seven.
to
They
pick
bring
up from one
Battiato
practice,
had to get
not
rid
two,
of it quickly.
right?
Cradle slipped out of
They'll
one.
just tell me like,
And he'll pick up about 5 and get back to the original line of script. And Western showing blitz. They bring it. Cradle able to find a little bit of room to the outside to get to the 20-yard line. And that's probably the best run we've seen from
in
Cradle
high
so
school?
far.
Or
3rd and 2.
Okay, y'all played on an arena field.
Yeah,
big gap. And this could be a home run hitter for Jaden Cradle.
Learning
in
from
the
there,
foot
and then
race.
taking on
Touchdown,
to the field. Like
Middle
7th, 8th
Tennessee.
grade, I started playing middle school football.
Yeah.
So.
And it's funny, I think about back when arena football kind of became popular. Kurt Warner was playing and all that, and a lot of the things that were happening in arena football have now come to the outdoor game, and it's become faster and all of that. Now, you catch the ball well out of the backfield. We obviously know you can run it. Northern Illinois ended up being your first stop, and that is a school in the MAC out in beautiful DeKalb, Illinois, and I've been there.
Right.
I've driven through all the cornfields from Chicago to DeKalb, and we went up there, and Blue Raiders knocked off Northern Illinois one year. But that is kind of a running back U as well. The great running backs have come out of there.
You're right.
And what was that experience?
That was a great experience for me. Just being a freshman that played like eight or 9 games, if I ain't mistaken. Being a freshman that played on many games, it was just a great experience. Like. A lot of freshmen don't get that chance to be able to showcase their talent. So that was just a big experience for me. It was just Coach Hammond, him being a running back coach, him being a running back himself. That was just another great experience just to be around them and just follow footsteps around that building.
Now, and now you obviously with the transfer portal, things become a little easier to move around. And coming to Middle Tennessee allowed you to continue to play a good bit, get on the field in a good league that's very competitive with a competitive non-conference schedule as well. But you were also a whole lot closer to home too. Was that part of your decision?
Yes, sir, it was. I was 13 hours away from home when I was at NIU, so I was looking forward to be closer to home. So yes, Tennessee was one of my options there. come down here being down south in the heat all the time, not being cold. So that was one of my options, one of my choices that I made.
Yep. And speaking of heat, how have you enjoyed the hot weather this year? Or has it been worse, do you think, in August this year, or do you think it was worse last year?
I would say it's been worse this year. It's been really hot lately.
Okay, I want to ask this from a player perspective too, because Coach Mason and his staff come in, and they go to morning practices, stretch at 6:30, practice 7 to 9 o'clock in the morning before practice. How hard was that to get used to, or have you gotten used to it yet?
I already got used to it during the spring when Coach Mason first started the early practice. I had to adjust then because I wasn't used to it. I wasn't used to waking up that early and going to practice. I was so used to waking up, having time to do everything, and then be able to go practice in the afternoon. But I feel like that adjustment was, and we needed that adjustment as a team because it helped our day go by like real smooth, and you ain't got to worry about a lot of stuff.
Well, you don't have to worry about if you got a lab on Monday afternoon or Tuesday afternoon. You don't have to worry about that. It's all done. And by 9 o'clock in the morning, you guys have gone to practice. You're eating breakfast.
Right.
And then the rest of the day is you've got you're a college kid for the rest of the day.
Right.
And come back and watch film. How much film would you say you watch in a week during the season?
Scale of 1 to 10, I would say like 8.5. I look at a lot of film. Even when I'm at home, one of my roommates is a running back, so me and him would just go home, turn the film on, and look at teams we were about to play, or like our old film. Just
like tonight, when you leave here and go home, you'll watch Memphis defense.
Right. I'm gonna go home.
What are you looking for?
I'm looking for the schemes. I'm looking how they run, how fast they get to the ball, how people move and stuff like that. So that's just what I start off with. Then next day I go and look at see how they do things differently each play, and how they draw things up each play. So.
Yeah, well, Flip had a 100-yard game, obviously a big 66-yard run, had 122, I think, was the total, 125 against Duke. Trivia question, prior to your 125-yard game on Saturday, who had the last 100-yard game as a running back at middle prior to Saturday? Do you happen to know who that might have been?
As in like general or like?
Who was the last, before you had a 100-yard game on Saturday, who had the previous 100-yard game as a running back?
I don't know.
How about Flip Cradle against Murray State last year? So you've had the last two. So congratulations on that.
I appreciate that.
Talk a little bit about where this team is right now, and where do you think this team needs to do in the next? You go to Memphis this week, and then you'll have a little chance to catch your breath before we go headlong into the remainder of the conference season. What does this team need to do, and how good can it be as we go through this season?
I feel like on both sides of the ball, we just need to strain better. Just being able to just stick together even when times rough. So like when we get down and stuff like that, nobody in the type of mood to where like it could jeopardize the team or have the team feeling the way. Like we just have to stay together as a team. And I just feel like on both sides of the ball, we just need to strain more.
All right, Flip, I want to wish you all the best this week down at the Liberty Bowl. And let's go get those Tigers, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right, Flip Cradle, ladies and gentlemen. Give him a nice round of applause. Thanks for being with us as our guest. We'll take a timeout. Coach will rejoin me right after this. Derek Mason live from Van Wagner and the Blue Raider Network.
You can almost feel like you're the biggest fan. But who's your biggest fan? It's the person that will get you home safely after a night of drinking. It's the person who looks out for your life to make sure you leave the stadium with someone sober. This could be a designated driver or someone who offers to get you a ride share. Because in Tennessee, fans don't let fans drive drunk. Brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety
58-45, got it.
Tennessee Department of Safety and Homeland Security.
Plan ahead and plan for success. Put Lee Company on your team for all your facility and home maintenance needs. They are proud to be an official partner of the MTSU Blue Raiders and have serviced homes and businesses for 80 years. For the very best heating, air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical services, call Lee Company at 615-867-1000. Visit them at leecompany.com or call 615-867-1000.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024, Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Pay the Order of Hope.
Last break, stand by.
For years, the Tennessee Lottery has written some pretty big checks, but it turns out that our biggest winner continues to be education. In fact, we've raised more than $7.5 billion and provided more than 2 million scholarships and grants for Tennessee students. Learn more about how lottery dollars are making a difference at tnlottery.com. It's game-changing, life-changing fun.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, all clear.
Welcome back into the Boulevard on this Monday night. I want to remind you tonight's show is brought to you in part by Bud Light, proud sponsors of Middle Tennessee State University athletics. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light. Middle Tennessee and Memphis, 6:30 Saturday night at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium. We'll begin our pregame show at 5 o'clock on the Blue Raider Network. Kickoff at 6:30 on many of these same Blue Raider Network outlets. Coach is here. And Flip, the last thing I asked him, I said, what does this team need to do better as you move forward to go through? And obviously he is listening to his head coach, because he said we need to all embrace the strain and know about that going forward. When you say that, what do you mean by that?
Well, you know, there's the ability to do the job, okay, because every job has a job description, so you do the job. But I think the important thing is it's not just what you do, it's how you do it. It's the finish. It's the ability to finish, focus, concentrate, and be able to be productive in that process, right? And doing it again and again. You know, we call it repeatability, right? And guys are getting there. If you watched Flip play this week, he strained, right? And not that others didn't, but you can see the yards after contact. You can see in pass protection what he's looking to do. And so now we're starting to get examples on film where we can show guys, that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And listen, you can tell a guy what it is, but it's much easier to show a guy, you know, what it looks like, to be able to give them a reference point of okay, that's what it is. That's what I need to continue to do. And so that's sort of becoming the standard. And so now we have to strain, but we have to strain with intelligence. We got to make good decisions as well as play hard to the finish.
Good deal. Some questions from the audience. Speaking about a decision, can you talk about the punt game and specifically about where to field it, where not to field it?
Yeah, when you talk about, you know, punts, much like kickoffs, right? There's a no-fly zone or no return zone, and a lot of times if you have to take more than 7 yards forward, okay, man, you probably need to get away from it. Okay, man, if it's a short line drive kick. If it's high, fair catch it, period. Okay, man, if it's up, if it's floating, I think what's happening is, you know, guys sometimes lose sight of where guys are in proximity to, you know, coming down, because it's barreling down on you, right? And so in practice, you feel like you got time. In games, it's real. And so we tell guys, always field, a punt. You should always field.
You don't want to give up the invisible yards.
You don't want to give up the invisible yards, and I think there, for punt returners, it's much different than kickoff returners because I think for punts, as long as you see the ball off the foot, you can get there. But as a general rule, if it's a line drive and that thing and it's coming hot and you have to go more than 7 yards, get yourself away from it because more than likely it's going to hit you hot.
And these Australian kickers are making life tough with the line drives that they in sidewinding. They're very talented. Very talented.
The ball with no spiral rotation going end over end comes in hot.
Yeah,
they're hard to catch.
Yeah.
So I mean that's something that you have to work in practice, but we don't have an Aussie.
Yeah, exactly. Flip left a question here for you, by the way. He said, if you could go back in time and play football again, what team would you want to play for? Would you be a Northern Arizona Lumberjack again?
You know what? I enjoyed my time. I enjoyed my coaches, right? So I'd do it all over again. I'd be a Northern Arizona Lumberjack, and here's why. I think those men, the Andy Reeds, the Brad Childresses, the Billy Callahans of the world, those guys, help shape me as a young man. And I think, not only did I learn a lot of ball, but I actually gleaned, a lot from those guys. And that's probably why I got into the profession. So I enjoyed my Northern Arizona experience for sure.
Okay, we've got a couple of deep philosophical questions here. One,
please.
If you were this personality question. If you were stranding on an island, had to choose one position coach to take with you, who would it be and why?
You know what? I think I'd take two, right? I'm going to choose two. I'm going to choose Luke Pascal, one, because Luke is like MacGyver. He's got every gadget and trick and trinket and idea mapped out in his little playbook. So I take him, but the other one's got to be Calvin Lowry. It's like Calvin Lowry. I mean, he's probably one of the most regimented dudes that I've ever been around, and he runs that running back room. He leads that running back room with a militaristic type precision when it comes to how they approach the game, how they approach school. So to me, those two dudes. I don't know if we make it in Survivor. But I take those two dudes with me.
So Luke Pascal can make a yacht out of coconut tree leaves or something
Correct.
like that.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
All right. Okay, here's one. Now that you've been here several months, what is your favorite middle moment that you've experienced so far?
Favorite middle moment? You know what? My first game going down Raider Walk was actually like something for me, man, that I've got some pictures of and that I'll remember for a long time. Just the first time doing Raider Walk and touching the horseshoe and just seeing like our fan base. It's a fond memory for me. It's a moment in time like for me that I won't forget, and I've got pictures to prove it. And those things don't fall lightly on me. The older I get, the more I understand. It is about making memories, and that's one of the best for me.
One guy who's been in your memory bank is Ryan Silverfield.
Yeah.
You guys worked across the hall from each other with the Minnesota Vikings. Now you're going to be across the field from each other this weekend in Memphis.
Like me and Ryan would visit with each other in the summer. He'd come down to the beach house, and we'd spend some time together. Since I took this job, he's messaged me a couple of times, but I haven't messaged him back, man, because I know I'm going to play him, right? So, but I tell you what, you talk about a smart coach. You talk about somebody who went to Memphis as an assistant under Norvell, did a really good job, like with Mike, was rewarded an opportunity to be the head coach and has made them right. You just root for guys like Ryan Silverfield, and he's like when you get a chance to listen to him and be around him, he's a ball coach. He's a pure ball coach. He's coached O-line, he's coached on the D-line, When I was in Minnesota, he was with Pat Morris one year. The next year, he was with Carl Dunbar. If you know anything about those two, one's a Hall of Famer. The other one's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame because they're both excellent coaches. He's got great coaching pedigree, really good coach.
All right, we're going to take a break, final break of the night, and talk about the matchup with the Memphis Tigers after this. You're listening to Derek Mason live from Van Wagner and the Blue Raider Network.
Well, Ascend has got you both covered. With our interest-earning checking, you can
Earn interest so I can save money for my beach trip?
Sure. And with our rewards checking, you can
get cash back for my purchases? Tap reward?
Yep. So no matter how you handle your money, Ascend Federal Credit Union has the right checking account for you. Interest-earning checking earns 3.56% annual percentage yield up to $15,000. Some restrictions apply.
Not feeling well and need to see a doctor? Find the care you need now at Ascension St. Thomas. We're here with 24/7 ER care, same-day care, and walk-in urgent care for broken bones, sprains, allergies, sore throats, and more. Visit ascension.org/St. Thomas Care to get the right care at the right place at the right time. Serving Middle Tennessee State University, Murfreesboro, and surrounding communities.
How do you create a tradition of leadership? You power it with impressive towing and hauling, sharpen it with smart features like a mobile generator, and dominate 47 years straight. That's Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks, a legacy of excellence. Only at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Available features. See Owner's Manual for important operating instructions based on 1977 to 2023 total sales.
Last break, stand by.
Longtime supporter of MTSU Athletics and your locally owned HVAC and plumbing company for over 8 years.
I got it. I got it.
For Middle Tennessee homeowners and businesses. Call 888-MY-ROSCO to schedule your HVAC or plumbing service today. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Roscoe Brown. People you know, a name you trust. Go Blue Raiders.
Roscoe Brown. RoscoeBrown.com.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All clear.
Welcome back to our final segment with Coach Derek Mason. We talked about you and Ryan Silverfield being office mates.
Yep.
Nick Vattiato and Seth Hennigan, the quarterback for Memphis, were roommates at the Manning Passing Academy this summer.
That's pretty cool.
How about that?
Yeah, that's outstanding.
Talk about the matchup with the Tigers, concerns, and as we move toward it.
It's a good football team coming off a tough loss. They've got some guys hurt, but they're a football team that can be explosive offensively, defensively. They love to attack, and on special teams, they're engaged and they cover the field extremely fast.
Yep. With your guys from a health standpoint, are you at a point of starting to get people back a little bit?
Slowly but surely, we're getting some guys back. We should expect a couple guys back this week, which will help in depth on special teams as well as defensively. So that's good. Right now, we just need to make sure, man, that we move towards the things that we got to do to go play this game offensively, and this football team will be ready.
One of the things you talked about in your press conference earlier today about how this team can move forward, minimize mistakes, maximize performance.
Right. Minimize the mistakes. Everything that's happened to us has been controllable, right? Turnovers, controllable. Decision-making, controllable. Tackling, controllable. And the improvements are there. Now, man, we got to take the biggest jump, okay? And if you're progressing, the jumps are going to come. Versus Memphis this week on the road, okay, in a hostile environment, like going to Ole Miss, we've been there.
All right, that's going to be it. Hope to see you all in the Bluff City, and let's avoid the remnants of a hurricane that's coming into the Gulf of Mexico.
I've heard.
Coach, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks, but we'll talk to you in Memphis on Saturday.
Let's do it. Let's go Blue.
All right, Coach Derek Mason joining us. Thank you all for being here again. 5 o'clock on the air Saturday. Kickoff at 6:30 at the Liberty Bowl. Until then, Chip Walter saying thanks for being with us and good night